You invest your life in trying to change the past. This is like banging your head on a wall, which is not going to break anyway, it's your head which will break. What you can change, you do not change. What you can craft, you do not do it, because all your energy goes into banging your head on something that's already over. This is not easy time for people. This is a time we must understand our karma, our present karma is most important. Our life is ticking away. The final tick mark will come later, but right now it is ticking away, all right? If you know this, you have no time to do anything that doesn't truly matter to you. For your happiness, to live happily and peacefully here, the most fundamental thing is
Believe Nation, welcome back. A very special guest to the channel, Sadhguru. Welcome aboard.
Namaskaram.
So he's got a new book out called Karma. We're going to link it up in the description below. It just came out, amazing new book. And I'm excited to dive into this because karma is one of those words that I think in North America has taken on a totally different meaning than what the original meaning is. I think a lot of us think of it as, well, if I do something bad, then karma's going to come and get me and do something bad towards me as some kind of punishment. What is karma for you?
The word karma literally means action. When we say action, as human beings, both in our wakefulness and sleep, we are performing 4 dimensions of action: physical action, mental action, emotional action and energetic action. These 4 activities are always happening. Whether we want to do it, we don't want to do it, there's no choice, it is always happening. It's being done by us. So now, if you look at it, how much of this is being done consciously in 24 hours' time? For most human beings, it's well below 1%. So this is like I won't give a truck in your hands, let me give you a bicycle, okay, because that's dangerous for everybody else. If you're riding a bicycle and let's say 10 minutes you're riding, 9.9 minutes you're riding with your eyes closed, you know what's the consequence. So this is what is happening to people, and because of this, they think something else from somewhere else is hitting them. This idea of like what you mentioned about reward and punishment system, this comes from old belief systems of heaven and hell. Heaven and hell is supposed to be the ultimate reward and punishment. On the way, there are many minor heavens and hells like this people go on. So this comes from belief system that this will happen, but that's not the way life has worked. It is just that everything that we do, there is a residual impact upon us. This residual impact creates a consequence. This consequence, it's up to us whether we go through it joyfully or miserably, whether we violently react to it or consciously respond to it. These are our choices. If you do not exercise these choices, karma will crush you. If you exercise these choices, you can ride the wheel of karma. One who rides a bicycle, he experiences it wonderfully. One who falls under its wheels definitely is not a pleasant experience. So karma is just like this. Instead of learning to ride the karmic wheel, people are thinking it is coming and hitting them from somewhere else. No, when you misunderstand your own hand to be the hand of the divine or something, then you become very delusional and you pay the price for it. So the intention of the book is to bring the right perspective to karma, because this is the most dynamic way to exist in the world, that my life is my karma simply means my life is my making. So when you see that my life is my making, then you will see how you want to be. Right now, people have taken various dispositions. Let's say somebody is nasty, they think this is because of another time, and of course there's a whole lot of psychoanalysis telling them this is because your father abused you. At that time you're abusing everybody else in the universe right now. You know, these kind of explanations are going on. Especially if you suffered abuse from somebody, you must understand you should never abuse anybody else. But that is not the way we respond. We think if somebody abuses us once, we must abuse million people million times over. This has been the consequence because It is a violent reaction to whatever is happening within us. Whatever is our karma is like the past. It has happened till today. What has happened till today should be your platform to stand upon and do your dance of today. But instead of that, it is working like a quicksand that people are sinking into it. So what is yesterday, what is past, you can never fix it. There's nothing to fix there because it doesn't exist. What is today, you can only experience it. There's really nothing else to do. You can only experience it the way it is. But what is next moment and tomorrow, you have to create it. You invest your life in trying to change the past. This is like banging your head on a wall, which is not going to break anyway, it's your head which will break. What you can change, you do not change. What you can craft, you do not do it because all your energy goes into banging your head on something that's already over.
Can you explain the cover of this book? So this came in and first it was beautifully wrapped. I almost didn't want to open it because it was so beautifully packaged and put together, but I had to so I can get through it for this interview. What is the symbolism here? What does this mean to you? Why did you pick this design for the cover?
This is a mural in one of our meditation halls in the Isha Yoga Center in India. This is some people say this is the largest mural in the world, I don't know for sure, but some people claim it is the largest one. So we designed this mural to depict the 5 dimensions upon which a human being can work. When I say 5 dimensions, see, the entire physical world is made up of 5 elements in the yogic sciences. Water, earth, water, fire, air and space, these are the 5. These 5 dimensions, only with these 5, the entire universe is made, so is your body. So the fundamental of yogic sciences is in this, which is called as Bhuta Shuddhi. That means one thing is to cleanse the elements in your system, another thing is to have mastery over these elements. If you have mastery over the elements within your system, then your body, your mind, your energies, everything functions the way you want. So you don't do anything about it because you've not taken care of the ingredients. The final cooking is a mess. So the yoga, the basis, the foundational practices of yoga are called as Bhuta Shuddhi. Well, when I say yoga in North America, well, it means something else. That's not what I'm talking about. When we say yogic sciences, the most basic of these practices are Bhuta Shuddhi. So this is a depiction of Bhuta Shuddhi, working with earth, working with water, working with air, working with fire and space. So this is working with air, this imagery of a yogi hanging upside down from a tree and working upon the air in the system. When I say air in the system, right now everybody understands, particularly with the pandemic, everybody understands how important it is to breathe properly you know. So it's not just about the breath, every cell in the body has a certain amount of air in it, invested. So generally, we see that about 70 to 72% is water, about 12% is earth, about 6 to 8% is air, the remaining part is fire and space. So this 6 to 8% of air has a significant role to play in our life. The way you think and the way you breathe are very directly connected. Today modern science also is acknowledging this, that suppose this is something that we do in the yogic system, that if you simply sit here and think about mountains, if you check your breath, it'll be one way. You think about a tiger, it'll be another way. You think about ocean, it'll be another way, because your thought and your breath are so directly connected. Well, at least this everybody knows, if their thoughts become little fearful, their breath goes into a certain state of exaggeration or aberration will happen. So, breath and thought process is very directly connected. Right now, what people call as happiness and unhappiness is essentially, in your thoughts, if what you want is happening, you're happy. In your thoughts, what you don't want is happening, you're unhappy. So in this way, for your happiness, to live happily and peacefully here, the most fundamental thing is your breath should happen in such a way, naturally your chemistry will function in such a way that your thought process will be the way you want it. This is as simple as that. If your thought and emotion happen the way you want, well, you will be joyful, there's no question about it. The life around you, the world around you may not happen the way you want always, especially right now, it doesn't happen, but your thought and your emotion is happening your way, you're joyful by your nature. So in that context, air or mastery over air in the system is very important. So for karma, because people are thinking their happiness and unhappiness, their joys and miseries are all their karma, they're being punished from somewhere, no. You're misunderstanding your own hand to be some other hand, maybe hand of God or something, no, no, no. Your hand is slapping you in the face and you think somebody else is hitting you. Is there a solution for this? Unless you realize this is my hand, you can't stop it. This is karma.
And what I love about the book, but all of your teachings, is this is an easy book to read. Even though it's talking about what seems to be a complex topic, it's very easy to read, and you have a fun way of explaining things. Even when I went to Mystic Guy in Toronto and there's thousands of people in the audience, when you sit down to think about a lecture, it's usually boring. But at yours, you're laughing, you're joking, you're talking about joy and dancing. Talk to me about the intent of writing the book in a way that is easy to consume, that doesn't require like a level of sophistication to understand.
See, when you speak, suppose I speak to you or you speak to me or you speak to somebody, if the purpose of speech is not to communicate, I think we should just shut up. So we speak in such a way that nobody understands, you better not speak. It's important when you speak to a group of people, you speak in a way that they understand. So right now, in the name of spiritual process, in the name of religion, what's happened is, simple aspects of life has been made mystical. My life's work is to make mystical approachable and simple, because this is important, otherwise what's the point of any teaching? I'll give you a teaching that you can never understand. What is the point of that nonsense? I call it nonsense. If I give you a teaching, it should be of some use to you, otherwise what is the point of that? This is not a book that you carry on your head. This is a book that you can implement in your life, because that's what is important. You must live life. You don't have to carry the information of life on your head. So, the idea of… for me, the idea of speaking and writing is not to create a scripture that nobody understands, but to create a… when people ask me, what do I read? Because most of the time if I read Asterix or Dennis the Menace, all those comics are dead now. Unfortunately, nobody's creating new ones, but these are the wisest things I read. I didn't read any scriptures, because most of this stuff is written in such a way which is endless debate. I don't want a debate, I want solutions to life. My work is to offer solutions to people, not to cause one great intellectual circus.
I love it. Let's talk about the timing. You've done so many books, and karma seems to be such a powerful concept. Why is now the time that you decide to release the book on karma?
Well, in India, we have not released that book here. Just before the first wave of pandemic in 2020, in the month of January, we released a book called Death, an inside story of death. So, well, just after that, the pandemic broke out. At that time, nobody had any idea when we released the book in third week of January, I think. So people started saying, Sadhguru, did you foresee pandemic? Did you do this? See, pandemic or no pandemic, anyway people are dying. It's not people means not other people. You and me are dying right now. The process is on. One day it'll be complete. Well, I'll bless you with a long life, but we will die, all right? We are mortal. Why is this so important is, see, if we do not understand we have a limited amount of time, we will have lot of time to do foolish things in our life. If we understand we are on a limited lease of time, as we sit here, our life is ticking away. It's not time which is ticking away, our life is ticking away. The final tick mark will come later, but right now it is ticking away, all right? If you know this, you have no time to do anything that doesn't truly matter to you. You will not do anything that you don't truly care for. If you, me and everybody starts doing only what we truly care for, this is a wonderful world to live. The problem is too many people are doing things that they don't care for. Having said that, why karma now? See, right now what I see is, well, in India, the pandemic is unfortunately taken on a different level of distress. Well, even there I've been talking, the first wave of pandemic, India handled it very well. We clapped our hands, we banged the plates, we did this, that, somehow we brought the country together to respond to it the way we should. Well, there was a lot of pain, but still, we responded and handled it better than most other nations. For the concentration of population we have, I think we handled it exceptionally well. But by in the last 14 months, that has eroded. Now people think they are quite invincible or, most people are immortal, this is the problem. They think other people die. They don't understand they die. So this time around, one thing is the virus is also much stronger for whatever reasons of its own, and people have become little lax. Well, we are paying a price where, the mortality rate is extremely high, the level of suffering that's happening. There is no way any nation can provide a hospital bed for its whole population at a time. It's simply impossible to do that. So, whatever war footing, people are handling it, but this is going to damage the economy in a serious way. It is going to disrupt lifestyles and life in so many ways. Above all, so many people have lost their lives. Every day, at least 12 to 15 people that I know well are dying, every day. It's terrible. And you don't get to see the body from the hospital, it goes straight to the crematorium, and there's no closure in your mind because you didn't see them either in the hospital bed or in the cremation. They're just somebody else, government is doing all this. You are just at home receiving messages, your father is dead, your mother is dead, this kind of stuff. This is not easy time for people. This is a time we must understand our karma, our present karma is most important. When I utter the word karma, people always think in terms of fate. No. Karma means action, my responsibility. Right now, all right, the global situation is in a certain way. Now, how I respond will determine this. The most unique and a positive thing about this pandemic is, it is not being spread by mice or birds or some other mosquito or something else like other diseases were happening. This is… the only carrier in this pandemic is a human being. If human beings as a generation of people, if we respond consciously, well, the virus will be over. People asked me at that time in the March of 2020, Sadhguru, what is the solution? See, I've been telling you for 40 years, you must learn to sit still. It's very important. If 14 days, all of us simply just sit down in the world, not interact, not go with anybody, not go anywhere. In 14 days, it'll be over, the pandemic. But can you get the population to do that? Oh, when the pandemic is raging, somebody wants to have a haircut, somebody wants to drink a beer, somebody wants to go and meet somebody, endless number of compulsions. Because of compulsive reactions, being human has become such a liability. The greatest thing about a human being is, we can conduct everything that we do consciously. See, in many ways, if you look at yourself or if you look at human nature, what are we doing? We are born like any other creature. We grow up like anybody else, any other creature. We survive, we eat, we reproduce, we die one day, just like any other creature. Only significance is, we can do all this consciously. That's a world of difference. That is all it is. If you don't do that, if you don't do it consciously, I think evolution has been wasted upon you, really wasted. So karma means this is a movement from unconsciousness to consciousness. This is a movement from fanciful belief systems to responsibility. This is very, very important. My life is my karma means I'm 100% responsible for the way I am right now. I'm peaceful, I'm joyful, I'm miserable, I'm in a horrible state, everything is me. If I know this, I will naturally live my life in such a way, it will be elevated. But if I think because of you I'm miserable, well, one thing I will stay miserable, another thing is if my misery gets too bad, I want to kill you. This is what is happening. This is what is happening in the world every day. Either I want to kill myself or I want to kill you. Now WHO is predicting a health pandemic. They're predicting a suicide pandemic. This already happened in Japan. In 2020, the number of people who died of suicide is way higher than the number of people who died of the virus. So we don't really need virus help. We can do it ourselves, we're pretty good on self-help. We don't really need any external situations to cause misery to ourselves. When we cause misery to ourselves, and if I think my misery is because of you, I want you dead. If I can't have you dead, maybe I'll kill myself or I'll do something else. You see, every other day somebody is going and just shooting random people. Why? Extreme misery, isn't it? Deep levels of anger, frustration is there to such a point, you don't mind who you kill, you know? It is not even a target point that you want to kill. You don't mind who you kill, men, women, children, anybody you can kill, simply because that is the level of misery. Instead of looking at the violence that is happening, we must look at the level of misery and frustration and degradation that's happened within the human being. Why is this? Because we are always thinking somebody did this to us, isn't it? If you see my life is my karma, you will take charge of your life. You will do the best that you can do with this one. Maybe we can't fix the whole world, we can fix this one, isn't it?
How important is service in all of this in terms of having a happy life, a joyful life, your karma, that it's not just for you, but it's that it's contributing to somebody else, service?
Contributing to other lives is different, but I don't like this word service, so let me demolish that first. See, suppose, for example, let's say you have a child, I thought, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So, when your child is growing up, the more opportunity you get to do things for him or her, the better it is, right? Do you think every time you pick up your child, every time you feed him, every time you educate him, you pay for him, do you think you're doing service?
I would. I mean, I'm helping him. I'm contributing to his life. But how do you see it?
No. Do you see it as a great privilege that you can carry your child and he's with you and you're enjoying that whole thing, or are you thinking you're doing some great service for him?
I guess a bit of both, but I probably will default to
Now,
just I'm helping him more than some great service.
if you're denied this, that you cannot help him, will you be happier?
No.
So it's a joyful thing for you to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you're being served, not him.
Sure.
If the child did not come, most people wouldn't know what to do with themselves. It's just this bundle of joy came into their life and their lives have transformed, because most idiots have forgotten by the time they're 30 how to be joyful. When the child comes, without knowing they will sing, without knowing they will dance, without knowing they'll crawl under the table, which they never did all their life. So I'm saying, your child, if you do something, it's an act of love. But if a child on the street is there and if you do something, it's a service, simply because heart is bereft of love, isn't it? If you have love in your heart, you can't serve anybody, because it's a great privilege, you got an opportunity to do something for someone. It's a great enhancement to you, it is not a service to somebody. Because what can you do? You can give food, you can give money, you can give education, this. This is not yours, you came with nothing, you'll go with nothing. What is here, you're only redistributing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you come with something, Ivan?
Did I come with something? I came with no, I came with an intent to Gotta get
No,
your
no,
message in.
empty-handed. You are born empty-handed, you will go empty-handed, all right? So here, what is here, I'll put it here, what is there, I'll put it there, and I'm thinking I'm making a great contribution. No, no. It's a privilege that you can move things in a way that it works. That's all. So, because people have made themselves in such a way that their idea of love is only for what belongs to them, they must own it. If they have to love something, they have to own it. Because of this rudimentary idea, they can do service. Having said that, does it mean to say you cannot contribute? Your every moment of your life must be a contribution. Every moment. Contribution need not necessarily mean only money, only some useful activity. The very way you exist can be a contribution. If you walk on the street, if you meet 10 people on the way, total strangers, if you meet them on the way, you can either leave a positive impact upon them or a negative impact upon them, or let it just pass by. Most people are passing by like they're statues, like this. Suddenly they go home and they're loving. I don't know how they do it. At least you must practice on the street, I'm saying, with the trees and the clouds and the people, because what you do is question of capability, competence, resource, so many things. But how you are is just your willingness, isn't it? If you fix how you are, if you are a loving and joyful human being, everything that you can do, you will do. It's not for me to determine what you should do. Whatever you can do, you will do. Whatever I can do, I will do. Right now, if I am constipated in my thought or emotion, now what I can do, I will not do. That's a tragedy of life. When there is no love in your heart, what you can do, you will not do. What you cannot do, if you do not do, there is no problem. But if you do not do what you can do, you're a disaster, isn't it? And service is a terribly burdensome thing, because you will keep accounts of everything that you did and you will suffer when people don't pay back, when people don't show gratitude to you. But when you see it's a privilege that it's happening through you, you don't expect anything, it's wonderful because it's a great privilege, things are happening through you.
It ties in, like, I'm thinking like how did the consciousness versus compulsiveness, right? I think compulsively we're not living that life, right? We're not contributing to others, we're not loving others, we're not loving ourselves, we're not being conscious about it. How do we move from compulsiveness, which is the default operating system or software, like you call it, to consciousness?
Let's understand, because both these words are hugely used, karma and consciousness, both are hugely used all over. Generally in a very loose manner, just about in any way people like they're using it. Let's understand this. Karma means it is an accumulated impression that we have gathered within ourselves with these four aspects of activity: body, mind, emotion and energy. So this gathering is way beyond your understanding or my understanding, because in a day how many things are happening means unbelievable. See, it's like this, experiments have been conducted like this. Suppose you walk on the street, let's say 150 yards. In those 50 yards, there may be 50 different types of smells on the street. You don't consciously notice all this. If something is very strong in a pleasant way, you will notice it. If it's very unpleasant, you will notice it. But in between other 48 of those things, you do not notice. But all of them are registered in your mind and they have a certain impact on you. Next time you're approaching some place, even without knowing, suddenly you have a resistance for that place. You don't know why. Simply because an unconscious recording of that smell is there in your mind and it starts reacting to that. This is a wonderful survival system, mechanism. But once you become human, your life is not all about survival. If you are like any other creature, your whole life was about survival. Once you become human, survival is a small aspect of it. Rest of it is about evolving and blossoming as a human being. If that has to happen, then you have to go beyond your karma, which is, instead of saying compulsive, which is a negative word, let's say you're automated with this memory. With all this memory, you're automated. How you will sit, how you will stand, how you will speak, how you will respond to various things, everything is automated. This makes life easy. Karma makes your life easy if you stand upon it. If you sink into it, it'll make you suffer. So is karma a bad thing? No such thing. Should I have only pleasant karma? No such thing. If you have lot of unpleasant karma within you, you should become very wise. If you're conscious, you will become very wise with unpleasant karma. But if you're not conscious, this unpleasantness which happened 10 years ago will make you suffer now. Most human beings are like this. What happened 10 years ago, they're still suffering. What may happen day after tomorrow, they're already suffering. They are not suffering life. They are suffering two most fantastic faculties that human beings have, a vivid sense of memory and a fantastic sense of imagination. Both they are suffering. Without these two things, you cannot even call yourself a human being. Our life is rich only because of our karmic memory. Every little thing that's happened in your life from your birth, in some way you remember. With all these bits and pieces, you are a certain concoction which may be interesting, which may be experientially good, or above all, it's complex. What is complex can be made into something very beautiful or very ugly, depending upon where you stand in it. If you stand upon it, you look great. If you sink into it, you look terrible. This is the nature of karma. So karma is not against you. It is making life easy for you. Survival processes can be automated a few things. But if you become fully automatic, that means there is no point living tomorrow, because tomorrow there is no possibility you're fully automated. So just to maintain that balance, that you are always in touch with your karma, you're on top of it, but you're not sinking into it. For this you need to be conscious. If you're not conscious, you will become fully swallowed by your own automation. You'll tend to become like a machine. This has happened to a whole lot of adults. When they were children, when they were exuberantly alive, slowly they become automatic machines. Just like that, they're going about, going to the office, coming back home, doing everything as it's programmed within themselves. Programmed by themselves, but still, whether somebody programs it for you or you program it for yourself, once you're fixed into the program, you're just an automation. You're reducing millions of years of evolution into a machine. How's that?
You use an example in the book of if somebody is compulsively eating, to take a step back, to sit down, to just wait a few minutes. And then as you train that, that few minutes can become a few hours, can become a few days, and then you kind of lose the compulsivity around it. Is that the guidance? Like if you can find something that you feel you're not living consciously around, to just sit with it and feel the discomfort and reflect on it?
Don't reflect on it. Just give it a little time. See, right now, you said something that I don't like. Now I want to abuse you. Just wait. Just a minute you wait and you will see, you yourself will see how senseless that reaction is. But most people don't have that little time. You say something, I'll say something, immediately, because there is no time gap. That means time is not needed for consciousness. But if you are very unconsciously reacting or you're very compulsively reacting, a little space will make a difference. Essentially, this space is about this, because we were talking about hunger. See, hunger has a certain very fundamental level of compulsiveness, because it's our survival, okay? Essentially, we are here today talking because we've eaten, all right? If we don't eat, it doesn't work. So, there is an instinct within us. When food comes, when we are hungry, everything else disappears, we just want to gobble it. Today, because for most people food is coming 5–10 times a day, they may not notice that. But if they have not eaten for 5 days, you will see they will eat like animals, gobble everything that comes their way. Because it is instinctually built in every cell in our body, because when we are hungry, it's not just the stomach crying, every cell in our body is crying, you need to eat. So that works into a very compulsive intention to grab the food and take it. So when that is happening, if you can sit for 2 minutes without, hankering for it, it'll do wonders to you. So, the Gautama, the Buddha, went to the extent of saying, when you're very hungry and in need of food, if you give away your food to somebody, you will become stronger.
Is it that we don't we overjudge ourselves, that the 2 minutes doesn't count, the 2 minutes is nothing. We don't give ourselves enough uh, praise or encouragement for having waited 2 minutes because it seems so small compared to 2 hours or 2 days or 2 weeks.
So you don't have to try to do 2 hours. 2 minutes is good enough. Once you become conscious, then what you do with it, whether you eat, you don't eat, or how you handle it, everything will be in your hands. I am not saying you don't eat. All I am saying is, once you become human, you're eating, you're breathing, you're sitting, you're standing, everything should become conscious. If it becomes conscious, you will see there is no ordinary human being on this planet. Every human being will become an extraordinary human being. Everybody has this possibility. The only problem is, right now, they are programmed software.
So you're really in the software business.
Yes, in a way.
The next Bill Gates here.
See, if you could if you can write unconscious software and today suffer that, is it not possible that you can write your software consciously? That's all I'm saying. You wrote your software unconsciously as a child, as a youth, something drove you and you wrote that kind of software for yourself. Now, can you not you write your software consciously? Definitely you can. If you write a conscious software, will you write a blissful software for yourself or a miserable software?
I hope the answer is blissful.
No, if you write it for yourself, definitely you will write a blissful software, isn't it?
I hope so, yeah.
Because blissfulness is not a goal. Blissfulness is not a goal. It's an ambience in which life flourishes.
So if karma is inside us from the beginning and it's this collective weight, potentially, of all the experiences that we've had to where we are now, that could be a pretty strong software in the wrong direction that we're running on autopilot. What are some of the daily practices we need to do? Because when we start building our own software that's blissful, it's going up against this big mountain that we've built for ourselves over our entire history that, today, one day compared to, 41 years of Evan, it almost doesn't, it's not a fair fight. So what are some of the things that we have to do daily to build up our confidence level that this new software is working?
See, the past, whatever, this 41 years, doesn't exist anywhere except in your own memory, isn't it? Does it exist anywhere?
No.
In the existence? So it's not existentially true. Now you're talking about fighting with that which does not exist. If you fight with that which does not exist, of course, it's an endless fight. If you fight with that which exists, either you will win or you will lose, something will happen. But if you start fighting with that which does not exist, well, you're condemned for life to fight for nothing. So, you cannot fight these 41 years, there's no need to fight. I'm talking about standing upon it because this experience cannot be lost. Whether good things happen to you, bad things happen to you, it doesn't matter. This experience cannot be lost because it's vital. But whatever comes our way, what will we make out of it? This choice we must retain. See, what the world throws at you is not your choice. It is the times in which we exist. Well, there are a whole lot of inspirational teachers in the world today, unfortunately, who keep on saying you can do what you want in this world. All the best for them, they will learn slowly probably. They're not as old as me. They will learn hard ways and, these are silly things being said everywhere. The world is the way it is today because of the times in which we are born, isn't it? If you and me were here 1,000 years ago, would we be zooming each other?
No.
No. So I'm saying we are doing this not because we are some two great individuals doing something. It is the times in which we are born, which facilitates so many things for us. Now, how we conduct this is entirely ours. What the world throws is not entirely ours. We have a small stake in that. It's not completely our piece. There's a larger piece, many forces are acting upon that. But how we experience it is 100% ours. Whatever the world throws at me, will I go through it joyfully or miserably is entirely my choice. There is simply no two ways about that. So karma means, when I'm talking about crafting your destiny, people are thinking destiny means I must go here, I must get this much money, I must do this, I must do that. See, it's like this. I used to be a regular at the economic forum, even probably this year I will make it, because they've moved it to Singapore this time. I don't know with this virus whether I'll be able to make it or not, but anyway. So this is a place where nearly 800 to 1,000, all billionaires there. Particularly one year, 2008, I think, when there was a certain downfall in the, like a little depression in the world's economy. All these billionaires I saw were in different states of misery because they were a few billions less than what they were 3 months ago. So I was talking to them and I said, see, whether it's $1 billion or it's something simple, let's say you're in some remote village in Africa or India somewhere, you have 1 cow or you have 2 cows, you lost 1. You will be absolutely miserable because you lost 1 cow. You have $2 billion, you lost 1 billion, you will be absolutely miserable. Do you believe the man who lost 1 cow, his misery is nothing? Because it's… the cow's price in the marketplace is not comparable to $1 billion? No, he will be equally miserable or more miserable. In the marketplace, $1 billion and a cow you cannot compare, but in human experience, it's the same thing. So our question is not about what happens in terms of quantities in your life. The question is about how you experience your life. If you are experiencing your life in a very pleasant manner, the unfolding of your being happens. Your genius will unfold, the best capabilities will unfold. Everything that you can do in this world, you will do, depending on the times. 1,000 years ago, you came here and you want to Zoom me. No. You have to come in 21st century to do that, right? So I'm saying what we do is not all ours, but how we experience this life is 100% ours.
You mentioned the word destiny, and it's in the subtitle here, A Yogi's Guide to Crafting Your Destiny. At the beginning, way back of this interview, you mentioned the word fate, and I think a lot of people feel like, well, I'm fated to do this, or because I was born in this year, I'm gonna be this, astrology and zodiac signs and all this stuff. What's your take on karma, destiny, and how does that connect to what I'm fated to do in astrology?
See, again we can, instead of going to a new analogy or an example, we can go back to the same thing. Let us say whatever is your star sign now, you were born in the same star sign 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago. Would you be doing the same things?
No.
No. So, on your sign, I don't know how many… there are only 12 signs, right?
I don't
know. There's 7 point…
I don't know.
No, the zodiac signs are 12. So, what is astronomy has been converted into astrology. Well, certain predictions, certain guesswork and partial predictions as to which way the winds are moving, you can maybe say something. But a human being, a conscious human being is beyond these things. This is why I'm talking about karma right now, that planets and stars, which are inanimate objects in the universe, should not decide the destiny of who you are, because you are a conscious human being. If you are a conscious human being, you will determine the destiny of who you are. In India, there is a tradition that if you go to an astrologer, if you say, I'm on a spiritual path, I've been initiated into something by my guru, he will refuse to look at your charts because he says this is not relevant. Because once you're in the spiritual path, what it means is, you have decided to take charge of your life, you become conscious. Now, all the indications of where it'll go, what it is, it's like this. See, if you're an ancient mariner, if you are or if you were an ancient mariner, winds would decide where you will go. Today, your nuclear-powered ship You decide where you go. This is the difference between consciousness and fatalistic way of existence.
I love it. I know we're getting close to the end and I could talk to you forever. Is there one story that's come from the launch of the book, somebody who's read it, somebody close to you that it's had an impact on their life that you'd be able to share?
I think it's best they share, isn't it? I can tell you a story from Shankaran Pillai's life. You know this guy?
No.
You haven't met him? Okay. If you read further into the book, you will meet this guy. His name is Shankaran Pillai. Shankaran Pillai is like John Smith, okay, in the West. Shankaran Pillai wanted to file for divorce. So the lawyer took the case and then he looked at this and said, "Why do you want to divorce?" He said, "My wife has terrible table manners and children are all picking up this terrible table manners, so I want to divorce her." Then the lawyer asked, "How long you been married?" He said, 23 years. What? 23 years you had no problem with her table manners? Now? What is the problem now? He said, "Well, I did not know that she had bad manners. Only yesterday afternoon, I bought this book on etiquette. And after reading it, I see her manners are terrible." Well, you're reading a book on karma.
I love it.
Well, a lot of people are saying it's doing wonderful things to them, let me see. Many people are talking about it, but it's just a few days since they got the books. It will definitely have impact because I'm not trying to pat my own back, but I think unfortunately there has been a deep levels of misunderstanding of what is karma. Not only in the Western societies, even in the Eastern societies, even in India, serious misunderstandings as if this is a way of fixing your life. Your karma fixes your life. No. Your karma may orient you in a certain direction. It doesn't fix you. It's for you to ride that wheel of karma. It's usually referred to as a wheel of karma because anything that is, fixed software can go only in cycles. So it starts going in cycles. If it is spinning in the same place, then it's a frustrating wheel. If you know how to ride it to a place that you want to go, then it's a fantastic vehicle. That's what karma is.
Well, the book is Karma. This is what it looks like. You can see it here. You can see it behind him. The link to get it is in the description below. I've got my copy. I hope you pick up yours as well. Sadhguru, as always, thank you for the wisdom, the time, the energy, the joy. Appreciate you.
Wonderful.
If you want to see the last one-on-one I did with Sadhguru, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Nobody can cause mental pain to you. It is you. In reaction to something that happens around you, it is time you take away the nonsense that's happening within you.